Good morning. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Also, sorry I'm shouting. How is everyone? Did you have a good weekend? Did you do anything fun? What did you do? Did you have a good time? You can see my shorts just a little bit on the edge, but they have Jessie's on them. Look, can you see? All right. Hi, guys. All right, we're going to finish our house today. So I'm hoping we'll see how far we get with the roof right here. We might have to split it into one more day to finish the outline bits of it, but we'll just see how we get on, okay? Because I don't want to put too much stitching on you at one time in one day, you know, because it is a Monday. So we want to like ease into the week. So I've chosen the blue from my house on the natural colored fabric to do my roof. And what we're doing is a mix of two different stitches. I actually haven't found a stitch that looks exactly like this in the same way that I'm doing it. So it's going to be a little bit different. It's kind of like the Jacobin couching, but it's also a little bit like a cloud stitch on the top. So I'm kind of mixing two of them together to make an interesting roof. Man, it is freezing in my house. Just taking my sweatshirt off, but I'm putting it back on. It's so cold today. God. Yeah, so we're going to mix these two stitches together kind of so that we can make this detail on the top. So what you're going to need first is we're going to do 6 strands of whatever background color you're going to do for your roof. All right. So for this one, it was a brown, and for this one, it was more like a gray color. And then you're also going to need 3 strands of another color. It could be the same color if you want it to blend in, or you could choose a different color if you wanted it to, the details here on the top to pop out. Now this is another one where I haven't actually taught this stitch to anyone before. Oh my goodness, 2 a.m. in California, so just listening in. So yeah, so I've never taught this stitch, so I kind of tried to make it so, try to find a way that it was easy, if you know what I mean. So what we're going to start with is the same satin stitching as we did the house in. So you can see I went up on one side and then down on the same side back over. So let's get started. So yeah, like I said, I'm doing the, is this? Oh yeah, there's some right here. I'm doing the same blue as the other house for a little blue roof. I think it'll be really cute. So we're going to do the exact same satin stitch as we did before. So let's get started. Now again, I've changed directions. So we were going to do almost like a upside down buttonhole stitch on for these tiles. So you'd come up here and go down here. And then come up in the corner and do the same thing to connect them all. Obviously, I've gone a different way. So if you would like to still do that, of course you can. You can just follow this along the way. You can do a colored pencil if you want to, if you don't feel like doing the roof. It's all up to you. And again, if you need to do the lines on there, let me find a color. These are all black. Here's a blue one. Yeah, so if you need to do the lines on there to make sure that you're doing a nice straight line, you can do that. You want it to kind of follow the same. And these are a little bit tricky because these here are on an angle, both of them, here and here. So you have to really follow that line. All right, I'm gonna stop talking. Dearie me. And then up on the same side as before, 6 strands. And back down this side. And then up on this side and back on this side. So what I'll probably end up doing is doing one whole side with the details on the top so that you can get started and you don't have to watch me do 2 sides of this satin stitch all the way down. Obviously, if you can't get the hang of the satin stitch like this, like the thread saver method the entire time, that's okay. Just do the regular satin stitch. It's not going to hurt anyone. I always like to say, at least try. And if you find that you're really getting frustrated, either put it down and walk away for a little bit, or just do it the regular satin stitch way. I don't feel a knot there, so I'm not really sure what this is hitting. Did anyone do anything fun over the weekend? Saturday here, it was absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Like, I was out in my bikini top and shorts, having a great time outside, laying in the sun. It was lovely. And then Sunday was so cold. It was so cold. We're gonna get started on the Bayou stitch is this whole configuration of stitches here. So the first part of the Bayou stitch is the up and down satin stitch, but just that alone is not the Bayou stitch. It has to have this almost like a, what's it called? Like these stitches to tack it down. I'm assuming that they did it like this in the 1000s because it would save thread, and they had to make all of their thread back then. They couldn't just go and buy it from a thread shop. So they would make it all themselves and then dye it to whichever colors that they wanted. So I'm assuming, again, not sure, but I'm assuming that that's one of the reasons that they did it like this, to save the thread, but also so that the back didn't get really bulky. So again, assuming these were displayed on a wall in a church somewhere or in a building like maybe where a king lived or something. Not just the Bayou tapestry, but most of the tapestries there. They wouldn't be in little embroidery hoops in your kitchen, you know? So notice I am going a little bit over this line, and that's because I'm going to cover this line with my black outline. So I do want to cover it a little bit. And this one, I'm trying to go as close as I can, almost into this green brick stitch that we did previously. And that's because we're going to cover this as well. You can do an outline with black, or you can do an outline with the same color. So if anything, you want to go a little bit on the line or right up next to this green, because what you don't want to happen is have your straight line be like that and then either see the white fabric or see the green bits coming through. So make sure you're planning a little bit for that. Okay, So like I said, I'll do this side first and we'll see how we are. Good morning, Susanna. We'll see how we are for time. And then I'll do the other side if we have enough time. So we'll do like this. I thought I had a color picked out for the top details, but it seems like I don't. Here comes Jessie. I didn't actually give her any food yet. She just came back from a walk, and then David's gone out to get groceries. So that's exciting. Food. Just lots of food. Again, this is kind of the boring part because we all know how to do this stitch. I probably should have had one prepared, you know. But hey ho. All 6 strands, yes. And this is because the roof is, I want it to be a little bit fluffier, you know, and make it look like it's in the foreground a little bit. Yeah, it is easier to fill without gaps. But you can even see that it's gives like a chunkier look. Do you know what I mean? So like when I even go on this side, this one right here will lay really flat to your fabric, and this one right here will be a little bit more raised. So when we do the details on the top, it'll be even more raised. I'm just thinking if I should do one more. That's probably good enough. Okay, so if I was going to do the other side, I would just jump over to the other side because obviously we've covered all of this already and we're going to cover all of these spots. So I do have more thread left, but I'm going to cut it and show you how to do the details on the top. So for this one, you're going to need either, if you want to have the same color, it would look like that. Yeah, or you can have a contrasting color. So either a couple shades lighter, a couple shades darker, or just a different color that goes with the color that you've chosen for your roof. Hope that makes sense. So on the back, you can see I've gone over on the front, yeah, then down, then over on the front, and then down. And that's where all these little stitches are going to be. Okay, let's chop that. And I'll get 3 strands. And I need to choose the color that's going to go with this blue. So I have a couple over here. I had a couple over here. Let's see. I want like a... I could do a lighter blue like that. You could do a gray even if you wanted to do a gray color, which I think that's what I'm gonna do. So this is 646. It's like a brownish gray. And I'm gonna use that one, but we need 3 strands. So make sure that you are splitting your thread so that you've got 3 strands. Of course, you could use 2. You could even use 1 if you wanted to have an even finer line. Again, up to you. I did that thing again where I chugged all my coffee before I got on here. Hi, Carrie. Which is why I've poured myself a sparkling water before, like right at the beginning of the video. I feel like I should not have chugged that coffee. Okay, I'm just cutting off the end. All right, so for this one, you have to be a little bit strategic so that they all look the same. So what I've done here is I've done a couple different houses so you can see exactly what I mean here. So we're going to start with long straight stitches, and you see the angle of the house like this, how this one goes like that and like that. Yeah, we're going to do one right in the middle, so from the top down a long straight stitch. And for these, it doesn't matter if you go hop over here and go back up, or if you continue to go from up to down. There's no rules for this one. So like I said, it's kind of like the Jacobean couching, where you make the lines and then do X's, but instead of the X's, we're gonna do just these one little tacking stitches down. So we're gonna first do one down the middle to split it in 2 sections, and then we're gonna do one down the middle of each of those 2 sections, okay? Now I'm using this straight edge not to make these lines straight, but it's going to be to get the same angle for when we go the other way. Okay, do you see how that makes sense? The same angle across. So let's do the first bit first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So we're gonna do one straight stitch down the middle like this. Now, if you need to, you can use the thread or a spare piece of thread if you wanted to, as a guide of where to put your needle down. Yeah, so I'm going to put it down here, but the back coming up. Yeah. Now we don't want to pull too tight because you don't want to have this sagging roof. It's going to make it look like your roof is saggy. So you want to just lay it straight over the top. And then I'm going to go down about here. Let's try that. Now I've noticed that when doing these straight lines, I've had to take a lot of them out. And you'll probably see me do that here as well. Because I want to keep this angle here about the same. Now obviously I've told you that I've drawn it wonky. So some of them aren't going to line up all the way. And that's okay. So don't worry about that. So we're going to go in the middle of here to there. Again, trying not to come up in the blue section. Yeah, you want to come up just on the outside of it. Okay. And then in the middle of there. So we'll go down like that. Oops, oops. Yeah, that's probably all right. Okay, we'll cover this up here with our outline. So don't worry if you're like, oh my God, it's like horrible. We'll outline it later, so don't worry. And then we'll come back over here between these two. Now this here I found tricky because the line is on an angle. This line here. So sometimes when you think, oh, I've got the right line, actually, it's not necessarily the right one. So I'm going to go down just right here. Okay, so we have these 3 done. Now, this is where you might want to use a straight edge. Okay, so there's not really a name for this stitch. I've kind of smashed 2 of them together. So the ones that I could find are the Jacobean couching, or there's one called a cloud stitch. But with the cloud stitch, you actually do the little tacking stitches first, and you weave your needle underneath each one. Obviously, that's not ideal here because we've already done the satin stitch underneath. Yeah, so we've done the same kind of satin stitch as we did on the house, where you come up and down on the same side to try and save that thread and have no thread on the back. So yeah, it's like a little bit different, but I haven't actually found the correct stitch for this. So we'll see. We'll see what I can find later, but I have been searching. So I said for these ones here, we're gonna follow the same angle of these, you know, this side of the house. For this side of the house, we're gonna follow this angle. So for the next ones, they're gonna be this way. They're gonna try and have the same angle as over here. Yeah? So I'm gonna skip and go straight to this one over here. And I'm gonna try to do that same angle. And again, it's just approximate. So please don't be upset if you're like, I can't get it right. I can't get it correct. It's okay. We just want it to be almost the same. Yeah? Almost the same. Go like that. Now the rest of these should follow that same from the bottom here where you've gone down. You can come up right there and make it go straight over following that same angle. So you have two parallel lines like that. Okay. Like I said, this one's a little bit tricky. That's why I really want to take my time and make sure that you guys understand it. Yeah. So we don't want it to be like this because that doesn't give that illusion of the, you know, parallel lines. So you want it to be just next to it. And this is a lot of thread holding, you know, holding the thread over. There must be a knot on the back right here because I cannot go through. Come on. You can do it. I need it to be right there. Yeah? And then the same with this one. Cannot go through the knot. You guys crack me up. Oh my God. And then obviously just one little one here to complete this little illusion that the whole roof is covered. So we'll come up at the bottom. Yeah. And then keep that same angle.
My name is John Chambers.
John Chambers. Piss off, Nate. Okay. Okay, so we've done this bottom part. Now we need to come back and do the top part. So I'm going to skip over to the top up here because it's easier to go from the top of this down than it is to find out where over here you're going to figure out, you know what I mean? To try and like go, well, if I go here, then I'll go down over, like, no, just go from the very top where we've already gone up. Okay. And again, just lay your thread down. Guys, I hope this is making sense. Please say that you're following. Please, please, please say you're following. Okay. And then we've got this one little one left. And here you will be jumping around. Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay, so we've done the one side. Oh, hallelujah. But we're not finished. So the very, very, very last part is to do these tacking stitches like we've just done here. But we're going to do them for every single X. So you don't have to do them for the top and you don't have to do them for the bottom, only if you really want to. But you're going to come straight up with your needle. Okay. Not on an angle, because remember we have that satin stitch underneath, just like here. So you don't want to like make a big separation in those satin stitches. You want to come straight up, and then on the other side of your X, you're going to go straight down. And you're going to make a little tacking stitch like that. Okay? And then move to the next one. Straight up, straight down. So going straight up with your needle, what I mean is that you shouldn't be going on an angle like this, because then when you pull your stitches down, do you see how it separates? And you can see the white fabric through. So you really don't want to do that. You want to try and go completely straight up and then straight down as best as you can. And again, it's not like life or death. You know what I mean? It's just, it'll make your embroidery look so much better for this part. Okay. And you're gonna try not to go through those stitches either. Okay, so there should only be really 6 of these that you need to do. Now, if you want to do a little stitch, just like here on the edge and then go down in the same hole like that, then you can add those as well if you really want to. You won't really see them. I think I did it with this. Yeah, I did it with this one. That's extra thread. I did it with this one, and you can't see them so well. Like, I guess you can a little bit. But if you really want to add those ones on the tops and bottoms, then of course you can. So if you added them, they would look like this. You're just going to do a tiny little stitch here. Susie Guy says, reminds me of a smocked child's dress. Yeah. I think it looks like those like cushions, like footstools that people have. Carrie says it looks so effective. Now on the back, I don't give a rat's patootie. I'm just jumping all over the place. And that's fine because, like I said, we're going to, one, it's covered up already, and two, you can't see it, and there's no rules for this one. So, And again, we're going to do an outline here. So that's going to cover that right up. Yeah? Now, you can choose to do the outline later when we do like an outline day, because we're literally just going to do the roof today. It's taking me 30 minutes to do that one. So I'll go ahead and do the other one just to show you how to do the tops on the other side. I'll try and do it as quick as possible. But we won't be doing any outlining or anything like that today. If you want to outline in the same color as you did your roof details, then you can do that now. And I would just outline this roof part, meaning so here and there. Because this right here, we're gonna do in a different color, unless you wanna use the same color for that, and then you can use the same color for that. Yeah? What's that, Jessie? A truck? Was that a truck going down our road? It was loud, huh? Okay, so there's half of it. If you need to do half and take a break, outline in a stem stitch. I'm going to outline in really long straight stitches. If you want to outline in a stem stitch, of course you can. But I'm just going to do a long straight stitch, just as a regular straight outline. Yeah, and I did the same thing for this one. It just depends on how you like. So if you can tell the difference, this one, I did 4 lines, not 3 lines. And it makes them a little bit smaller. So can you see? So of course you don't have to do the same. Yeah. But just notice that the angle of these is different and they make a different shape triangle. So you can experiment with bigger or smaller triangles by making your more or less straight stitches to start with. So you can, let me zoom out. I hope it doesn't get too wiggly for you. Sorry. Yeah, so you can see kind of done the same on this one and this one. They look very similar, but this one is much smaller. So it has a bit of a different look to it. Yeah. So of course you could do 4, you could do 5, you can make these really, really small. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make them really tiny. I would say if you're gonna make more lines like this, then only use 2 strands. And that way you'll be able to see the lines better and they won't be so thick and bulky. Yeah? So that's just my 2 cents. Obviously, do what you like, okay? Play around with it if you want to. You don't have to do it like I do. That's why I said you could do colored pencils for your house. You could do just a regular satin stitch for the whole thing. It looks like this house here goes down a little bit, so I'm just gonna raise that up a little. Hopefully it'll take out some of that wonkiness. But yeah, do what you feel like. I mean, I'm always an advocate for trying, just because it looks complicated doesn't mean that it actually is, you know? And you don't know if you can do it until you try. But if you have a different idea, meaning like, I think that the house would look cool like this way, then by all means do it, you know? You can always try to stitch a different day on a scrap piece of fabric and make your own little house. Honestly though, I cannot wait to see your houses. Everyone's done so good on the bottom part, on the baby stitch. Oh my gosh. Like amazing. And I'm not saying it, I'm not just saying it. Like they all look so good. Okay, make sure you get really close to this leaf here so that they all blend in together. Susanna says, I was super scared of the long satin stitches, but not anymore. I'm so glad. So obviously I'm gonna have to get some more thread for this one because I'm almost out. Okay. So get a little bit more blue, and then I'll go back in with the same color that I did the other side of the roof with, because you don't want to have 2 separate colors there. Just that little punch through of the needle is such a great sound. I also really love it. It's something that never really gets old with embroidery. Someone asked me once, like, doesn't it get a bit boring, like always doing the same thing? Like, I was like, no, not at all. I love it. Like everything about it, I love it. Yeah, it's very ASMR, definitely. And that's like the sound, you know, when people like how things sound. have there? Jessie's gone up to lay in her bed. Someone's asked, how long have you been doing embroidery? So I started in the 2015 or 2014. Actually, someone asked me last week if I would talk about how I got to England because I'm clearly not British. So yeah, I actually left the States in 2010 and I moved to Shanghai, China, and I went there to teach English. The big reason was because there was no jobs in my town. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. And I went to school to be an art teacher. So I was basically begging for an art teacher either to retire or get pregnant and give up teaching. That was my prayer, because otherwise I would never get a job being an art teacher. So I went to China and taught English. I'm just thinking about how far I should make this go, because obviously with these, you want them to match. You don't want them to be too, dissimilar. It's a roof. Otherwise, part of your roof will be slopey. So anyways, I went to Shanghai and I taught English for a year and a half. And I got there in March. And by the following October, I had an interview to be an art teacher. So not like 6 months later, but a year and a little bit later. And I didn't get that one, but they took my details and they said, if we have another job in the company, we'll get back to you. And I said, okay, fine. So they did in November, less than a month later. And so I moved. That one's longer, but oh well. So then I moved schools and I became an art teacher at an international school. So that was about November, December, and I was to start in January. So in February 2012, that's when I met David. That's my husband at the moment. He's my husband and he's British, and his school was Warwick University, and they have a link with my school in Shanghai, and they were sending 5 people over to learn to become teachers. And on Monday, he arrived in February, and I saw him through the window of my art room when he was getting a tour. And I was like, oh, he's cute. And I remember telling my friend who was the IT teacher, and he just worked across the hall. We were the only 2 people who had classrooms on the 6th floor. So it was just those 2. We didn't even have bathrooms on the 6th floor. It was just the IT center for computers, and then the art room, and then there was a dance ballet type studio at the end of the hall, but no one really used it. So it was really just us up there. And he's like, oh, they're only going to be here for 5 weeks or 6 weeks, so be careful with that, blah, 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 blah. And by the end of the 6 weeks, he had a job at my school, and he was going to move to China. So he moved to China in 2012, right after the Olympics. So he came to see my family, visit my family in America, and moved to China. So after that, we stayed there for 2 more years, and then 2014 we got married, and then we applied to come to live in England. If this is boring, I'm sorry, guys. And that got denied, so we went to America, and we stayed with my parents, and we applied again, and that got denied. And then we got into a really bad car crash, really bad. David was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. I was fine. I just couldn't walk very well. My mom was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. And then That angle is wrong, isn't it? But it's a little too late now, so just gonna have to live with it. These ones will just be a little bit bigger on this side. Yeah, so then after that, we applied again. Well, after that, he moved back to England in February so that he could find a job. That was February 2015. And he found a job as a teacher. And that's when I started stitching, really. Just find something to, you know, take time. Take up the time. Because we were apart. So we were apart from February all the way until the summer. I came to visit in the summer after I got my visa. And then in that time, his dad got really sick in January. And he died in May. So I wasn't able to come over for that. And then in the summer, I came over and we went to a wedding in Ireland. And then, I came over after my friend's wedding in September. So September 15th. No, September 17th or 18th. I got on a plane and came here. And I've been here ever since. So, those of you who are still with me, crazy. I'm running out of thread as well. Robin, that's like such a condensed story. Like so much more happened than that. But yeah, like crazy. Are you all caught up, Mom? Okay. I obviously didn't finish this, so I'm going to just cut 3 more and then do those little stitches because I can't have one side not look like the other side. It is a nice story. And you know what? I feel like we have done so much and like been through so much that it's absolutely nuts that we're actually here together. Do you know what I mean? Like through his father dying and like me not being able to be there and getting denied for visas and then like a car accident and then being apart, him in England and me in America, and ugh. Robin says, "You are so funny." Not at all. Where are you at? I know you just did the brick stitch this weekend, so you must be like a little bit caught up. Okay, so this one here is a lot bigger than all the rest of them. So just be careful with that because if you make them different sizes, you'll be able to tell that they're different sizes. And you might think, duh, Tori, if you make them different sizes, of course you'll be able to tell. But because they're on the roof here, you'll really be able to tell. So I'm just gonna rethread my needle and then just try again to get them right up in there. I make it small. Oh yeah. David saw me in my classroom and knew he was gonna marry me. And it happened. I think he just wanted to go to America for a little bit. So I'm just adding these stitches here at the top and at the bottom like I did on the other side. And they're not really going to do anything. They're just going to like keep that illusion that, you know, it's a roof. All right. So that's all we're going to do for today. Like I said before, Instagram only gives me an hour and I don't want to try and put 2 videos together. So that's going to be the end of today. So let me zoom out so you can have a little look. Is it perfect? No, but that's all right. Yeah, it gives it the illusion that they're the same on each side. They feel really nice. They're a little bit puffy up off the fabric, whereas this one is a little bit more flat. Tomorrow we'll do the door, and then we'll do an outline on the whole thing, and we'll outline even the curtains and everything. So you need an outline color. So for me, it's going to be black. You're going to need a door color. So whatever color you want to satin stitch your door. And then some curtain colors. So you can do one color for the curtains. You can do a little pattern on them if you want. Completely up to you, whatever you want to do. So hopefully the house will be finished tomorrow. Completely done. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And I cannot wait to see your little houses. All right. Enjoy your Monday. Don't forget to tag me at the Barmy Fox. Make sure it gets that line underneath of it. Or I cannot repost it. So it just doesn't give me a notification. It doesn't give me the choice. If you're private, you can send a picture if you want to. And that's fine. Make sure you do hashtag the Barmy Fox SAL. The Barmy Fox SAL. Go and leave some love on some other people's little houses that they've done, or the flowers if they're a little bit behind. It means so much. You have no idea how many people have messaged me saying that so many people have left comments and likes on their embroideries, and that they're so grateful and thankful and proud of their work, you know? So even if it isn't perfect, post the picture, take the picture, and just do it. Everyone's going to be cheering you on. So enjoy your Monday, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Bye.